Claude Opus 5 hit 1,861 ELO on the GDP-Val AAV2 knowledge work benchmark. And that's the only number Anthropic can actually back up right now. One step out of 5 bold claims held up. Anthropic just dropped Claude Opus 5 with a spec sheet that sounds almost too good to be true. So I went through the official docs, independent press reviews, and community benchmarks testing 5 of its boldest claims to see which ones actually hold up. No vendor money, no cherry picking. Honestly, what surprised me most was how many claims Anthropic made that nobody can even check yet, and what that means for whether you should actually switch to this model right now. So who's actually deciding here? If you're a developer picking a model for a long context pipeline or a team evaluating whether to move off GPT-4 Turbo, these claims aren't just marketing. They're the reason you'd pay for a new API integration and retool your whole workflow. And getting this wrong costs real time and real money. Claim 1. Claude Opus 5 handles 200,000 plus token context windows without losing coherence or accuracy on retrieval tasks. If that's wrong, your model starts hallucinating facts buried deep in a long document, your users catch it, and you're debugging a context problem you thought you'd already solved by picking this model. So I looked at what's actually published. The 1 million token window is a confirmed spec, and on GDP-Val AAV2, Claude Opus 5 scored 1,861 ELO, leading the benchmark for long context knowledge work synthesis. What surprised me though is that needle in a haystack retrieval accuracy at 200,000 tokens has no published figure anywhere. Now, a strong ELO score on knowledge work synthesis is genuinely useful evidence, but it's not the same thing as retrieval accuracy because synthesis and retrieval test pretty different things. So the window exists, the synthesis score is real, but whether it actually pulls the right needle out of a 200K token haystack is still an open question. Partially true. I was expecting either a clear win or a clear miss. And what I got was half the story. The context window is real, the synthesis score is strong, but retrieval accuracy just isn't published. So that's 0 claims fully verified and 1 partially true so far. Claim 2. Claude Opus 5 outperforms GPT-4 Turbo on complex reasoning benchmarks, specifically AIMA, MATH, and coding competitions. If this claim is hype, you're routing hard math problems and competitive coding tasks to a model that might be slower or worse than what you already have. And you won't know until something breaks in production. I went looking for the numbers. AIM performance, no published figure. Math performance, no published figure. Codeforce's score, also nothing. And what surprised me is that this isn't a case where the data is mixed or contested. There are just no independent benchmark results comparing Claude Opus 5 to GPT-4 Turbo on any of these tasks. Honestly, I want to be fair here. The absence of published data doesn't mean the model is bad at reasoning, and it might genuinely beat GPT-4 Turbo on IMI. But you can't make a purchasing or workflow decision on a claim that has 0 evidence behind it. And that's the situation we're actually in. Unverified, I went in expecting some community benchmark to have run this comparison, and there's just nothing out there. No IMA numbers, no math numbers, no Codeforces scores, and this claim can't be called partially true or false. It's simply unverifiable right now. Still, 0 claims fully holding up after 2 tests. Claim 3. Claude Opus 5 maintains consistent quality across 10 or more language families without performance degradation. If that's not true and you're building a product for non-English speakers, you could ship something that works great in English and falls apart in Japanese or Arabic, and your users will notice before your monitoring does. I looked everywhere for multilingual evaluation data, official docs, press coverage, community benchmarks. What I found was nothing. No published evaluation across language families, no quality scores for any non-English languages, not even a vendor-provided chart. The on-screen card says exactly what I found, no published data. I'll be honest, multilingual benchmarks are genuinely hard to run and slow to publish. So it's possible the model is actually solid across language families and the evaluation just hasn't caught up yet. But if you're making a real decision about a multilingual product, probably fine is not a good enough answer. Unverifiable. I went in hoping for at least some community testing across a few language families, and there's genuinely nothing published anywhere. So this one can't land as partially true or false. It's just an assertion with no data behind it. That puts us at 0 claims, fully verified, 3 tests done, and 1 partial truth so far. Claim 4, Claude Opus 5 processes text, image, and audio inputs with unified reasoning in a single forward pass. If you build a workflow around that audio capability and it turns out it doesn't exist, you've got a broken pipeline and you're back to stitching together separate transcription and reasoning steps, which is exactly the problem you were trying to solve. So here's what I found. Text and image input, confirmed, independently verified, and the model genuinely handles visual reasoning tasks. Audio processing, not supported. Independent analysis is clear on this. The model is text and image only, and the audio part of the multimodal claim is just not there. This one falls short, honestly. I thought there'd be at least a partial audio implementation, maybe limited support, but it's a flat 0. The image side delivers, but the full multimodal claim is overstated, and that's 0 claims fully holding up across 4 tests now, with 1 partial truth and 1 outright miss. Claim 5. Claude Opus 5 generates production-ready code with a bug rate under 5% on real-world engineering tasks. If you take that at face value and skip code review, you could be shipping bugs at a rate you have no visibility into, and a missed production incident at 2 a.m. is a pretty expensive way to find out the number was wrong. I went looking for any published bug rate data, vendor provided or independent, and what I found on the scorecard matches exactly what I expected after the last few tests. Nothing, no vendor figure, no independent study, no community benchmark, and the under 5% claim is completely unsubstantiated right now. And I want to be clear, measuring real-world bug rates is genuinely hard because it depends on the code base, the task complexity, and how you define a bug. So the absence of a clean number isn't automatically suspicious, a specific claim. Like under 5% needs specific evidence though, and there isn't any from anyone. Unverifiable. Given how much attention AI coding tools get, I honestly thought some community testing would have surfaced on this. But there's nothing published anywhere. No number from Anthropic, no number from independent reviewers, 5 claims tested, 0 fully verified. That's the final tally, all right. So here's where Claude Opus 5 genuinely delivers. The 1 million token context window is a real spec, and that 1861 LO on GDP val, AAV2, shows it can actually synthesize knowledge across huge contexts. And on top of that, image understanding works, confirmed by independent analysis, so visual reasoning tasks are a real strength. Now, where it falls short, no softening. Audio processing is just not there, so the full multimodal claim is overstated. The reasoning benchmarks against GPT. 4 Turbo and IMA and math are completely unverified, and the under 5% bug rate for coding tasks has 0 published data behind it from anyone. I was expecting a mixed scorecard and got something more stark. 0.5 claims fully verified. So here's the decision rule. Worth it if you need a massive context window for long document synthesis and you're working with text and images, but skip it if you need audio or proven reasoning benchmarks, or if you're trusting a bug rate you can't actually verify. 1 verified stat. Make the call on that.